I woke up in a great mood that day. The weather was perfect. Team was finally getting noticed.
Number 22 defends their position.
Nice one, 22. Keep pushing.
Seneca has been on a magic carpet ride this year.
Yume Tanaka now. Carvalho in her sights. Poised for the overtake. She commits.
Raven West forgets. It is easier to chase than it is to lead.
It's all or nothing.
McCain doesn't like it.
Contact. Tanaka spins out. North Point have nowhere to go. This is a huge incident. Tanaka into the wall. Manzi sideways on the grass. Seneca number 21 out. Number 22 damage. Debris littering the track. This is unbelievable.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another video here on the Racing Games channel. Today, we're taking a look at Grid Legends Story Mode. We were lucky enough to get early access to this story mode on the title, so here's what we made of it.
Significant damage to 22. And no response from Yume. Is she okay?
Medics are on the scene, that's all I know. Just focus on the race.
Keep me updated. Can you confirm race strategy?
Look, half the field can't finish. If we do, we're in the points. We can't quit.
Understood. 22. Finish the race.
Go, go!
Firstly, we're going to take a look at the gameplay. Now, we've had a gameplay review before for Grid Legends, and you can find those on our website, and we also have the preview available here on the YouTube channel. From that gameplay, we were, to be honest, a tad nervous. It wasn't quite clear where Grid Legends wanted to fit in the wider racing game landscape, a part of the games industry that is becoming ever more full in recent years. Was it aiming for a Simcade style experience like Gran Turismo or the F1 games? Was it aiming for pure enjoyment and arcade-like gameplay like Forza Horizon? Or was it trying to be the next big sim like Assetto Corsa Competizione? Well, it seems we finally have somewhat of an answer, but more on that later. The gameplay was much the same as we experienced last time. We raced using a controller, but each vehicle still felt somewhat unique. The most stark difference was seen with the trucks, as the handling on them was noticeably spongier. Those massive springs designed to soak up the impact of landing from the jumps don't have the most accurate handling. The other vehicles, from the touring cars to the open wheelers, felt somewhat the same. The only difference would be the LMP category, which I raced in at the start of the story mode. I could throw those into corners at a rather ridiculous speed, and I knew the grip would hold. Another element of gameplay which we found quite cool was the potential for the AI to be involved in incidents. They raced exceptionally well on the higher difficulties, often successfully pulling off switchback maneuvers when I sent the car in a bit too late. Likewise, this aggression often led to other cars spinning out when they put the power on a bit too early or slammed those brakes a bit too hard. This added a unique and honestly really quite immersive quality to the racing, and I was thoroughly impressed. Next up, we'll talk about the variety in the racing. I believe this is going to try and be one of Grid Legends' main selling points, the variety of racing available to players. This ranges from small open-wheel racing to LMP vehicles and even classic touring cars. We had a chance to experience 6 different classes of racing, and as we've already said, each felt somewhat unique thanks to the different levels of power the cars have, as well as the way in which they were staged. For example, one race we took part in was a multi-class race. So we had the added challenge of negotiating slower and faster cars on the same track. There aren't many titles offering multi-class racing yet, so this was quite exciting. The real challenge came from the stadium trucks, however. The huge springs and massive power meant we spent much of the race hoping to not topple over and be seemingly out of the race. Thankfully this never quite happened to us, but really, who knows? It was really fun to try racing in something that we'd never experienced before, and that is something that gaming is quite frankly perfect for. With many games focusing on traditional circuit racing, it's refreshing to see Grid Legends go for it and include this series of racing in the game. And finally, let's take a look at that reason I was talking about at the start of the video. There are very few story-driven racing games out there. Forza Horizon 5 does so, but is very much an arcade title, and F1 2021's Breaking Point is the next closest after that. This means there is still very much space in the market for a more narrative-driven title in the racing game genre. However, my only worry is whether or not there exists enough of an audience for this type of racing game. Those that want to race seriously do so with sim titles like Assetto Corsa, iRacing, and to an extent Gran Turismo Sport, for those that don't have a PC of course. And those looking to hop on for a fun drive with their friends will prefer to sink some hours in Forza Horizon 5, driving around Mexico in a convoy. Hopefully for Grid Legends, the use of some big, real-world names will draw in more of an audience. From playing the game through the first 6 events, there really is that underdog feeling to the narrative. However, that's hard to emulate when they're then out on the track. The various cars have the names of the driver above them, but each AI driver seems to drive pretty much the same. This personality-driven style of game is therefore kept to the cutscenes, separating each race as you make your way to the top, and it'd be great to see it reflected more on the track. Hot-headed and cocky drivers off the track would race more aggressively on it, whereas the quiet and considered drivers are more inclined to give you space. It's a pretty basic example, but I think you get the idea.
And I was impressed by our chat, so I made an offer.
Wait, you were impressed by a conversation?
That's right. You see, to me, when a person's capable of greatness, it's not just about performance. It's about them, who they are.
Make us competitive with Mods. Oh, I gotta go, sorry.
So, that about sums up our experience of the Grid Legends story mode. It was awesome to see so many big names involved, as I said, and the cutscenes were well laid out and really added to that drive to survive feel of the title. However, it still feels somewhat held back by this narrative not leading to any different action on the track. Like I said, I only played the first 6 events though, so this may emerge more as the game progresses. The racing variety is brilliant to see, and I can't wait to jump into more events once the game releases in those other types of vehicle. Will you be getting your hands on a copy of Grid Legends? I've been Toby for Racing Games. Let us know down in the comments below, and I'll catch you in another video here on the Racing Games channel soon.
Great drivers are like the great in any field. You know, they have an obsession, a hunger, they have a need to be more, to prove what only they know they can be. I haven't met anyone this passionate since I found Yume.